In this third video on differential equations, we will learn to solve simplest cases of partial differential equations. Before that, we must know what do we mean by partial differential equations. In the previous two lectures, we have already seen differential equations of this particular type. This is just an example, or say just simply dy by dt plus 3y squared is 0. So these are typical examples of ordinary differential equations. In all these cases, we have only two variables, namely x and y. Clearly, y is a function of x, so y depends upon x. So we call this x as the independent variable, and this y, since it depends upon x, we call it as the dependent variable. Now, this is not the case always, because in certain cases it is quite possible that suppose there is a function y, or say there is a function phi, which can depend upon more than one variables. Say, let us say that a function phi depends upon x and y. So in that case, both x and y are independent variables, and phi, which is a function of both x and y, now works as a dependent variable. So if this is the case, now this phi can be differentiated, or its rate of change of variation can be found out with respect to two variables, namely x and y. That can be done by using partial differentiation. That is, once we can differentiate phi with respect to x while keeping y constant, and we can differentiate phi with respect to y while keeping x constant. So this is called as partial differentiation, and this symbol, which is slightly different than d, is called as del. Sometimes it is also called as dabba. So this del indicates that the derivative is partial. So many different types of derivatives are possible in that case, because once the derivative is taken with respect to x, then of that quantity we can take a derivative with respect to y. Similarly, this quantity can again be differentiated with respect to x, and so on. So we have to include all these possibilities together. So considering all these possibilities, if somebody tries to have a standard general form of a partial differential equation, it can look like this. Some coefficient a, which may or may not depend upon x and y, multiplied by dou 2 phi by dou x squared. So this dou x squared represents dou by dou x of dou by dou x. That's it. Similarly, we can have plus some coefficient b, which may or may not depend upon x and y. So this a and b can be of this type, x squared or x squared upon y, or just simply constants 2, 3, minus 4, and so on. Now we can differentiate this quantity with respect to y twice. So I write here dou 2 phi by dou y squared plus c of xy. Now the Next possibility is first order derivative of x plus d of xy. Now the first order derivative with respect to y, then e of xy. So this is the general form. All these terms may or may not be present in an equation. Dou 2 phi by dou x dou y. Now this represents partial derivative with respect to y and then partial derivative of the same quantity with respect to x, plus the last coefficient, say f of xy, into the function itself, so into phi, or everything equal to 0 if the equation is homogeneous, or it may also be equal to some another coefficient or function of x and y, g. So this is a typical general form of a partial differential equation. Some of these coefficients may disappear and make the equation quite simpler. That depends on the physical problem which the equation represents. So in order to solve such type of equations, typically two approaches are taken. One of the first approach is to integrate directly. So that is called as method of direct integration. To understand this method, we will directly take an example. Though this method has some limitations, still it can be used in some cases. So let us take an example to understand this. Suppose we need to solve a given the partial differential equation which says dou 2z by dou x dou y is equal to x squared y. Now note that since it involves dou and z is now a function of both x and y, it is a typical partial differential equation. Now in this case only two terms are available, and those two terms, if we compare this with the general form, we can directly see that this particular term with e equal to 1 and this particular term with g equal to x square y are only present, and all other terms are completely absent. That's what we were trying to see. So let us try to solve this, since it involves derivatives. Now this can also be provided with some initial or boundary conditions. Since we have x and y which are typically known as position coordinates, the conditions should be boundary conditions. So say z of x0 is equal to x squared and z of 1y is equal to cos y. Now this says that whatever value x takes, if y is 0, the value of z is x squared. Or the second condition says whatever value y takes, it doesn't matter. If the value of x is 1, then the value of z is cos y. So z is fixed for certain values of x and y, and for all other values of x and y it may vary, and that variation itself is the solution of z being a function of x and y, which we have to find out by solving this equation. So just look at this equation now. We need to integrate this with respect to x. So it looks like dou by dou x of dou by dou y. Just I am splitting this term of z. Now since integration is with respect to x, we should write here a dx is equal to, on the right hand side we have integration x square y, and it is with respect to dx, plus, now remember that we have here a 0, so plus 0, and we note that since we have here 0, we can add here a function which is a function of y only. Now if we check, if we differentiate this, we get this particular term. If we differentiate this, the integration disappears and we get this particular term. And now if we differentiate f of y with respect to x, f of y with respect to x. Since f is a function of y only, its derivative with respect to x is going to be 0, because now since this is partial derivative, y is a constant as far as variation with respect to x is concerned, since this derivative is partial. So yes, the derivative of f of y is 0. So this 0 has to be replaced by f of y when we integrate with respect to x. Similarly, if this was an integration with respect to y, we should have substituted f of x, right? So okay, now since we are integrating with respect to x, we have to add this particular plus f of y, that we have to remember. Now since this integration is with respect to x, we are left with dou z by dou y is equal to, again y is a constant in this case since integration is with respect to x, so y comes outside the integration, and integration of x squared is just x cubed by 3 plus f of y. Now x part is done. Now we have to integrate with respect to y. So we write integral dou z by dou y into dy is equal to integral y x cubed by 3 dy plus integral f of y dy. Now note that again we have a 0 here, so that 0 should be replaced by some other function g of x, yx, because we are integrating with respect to y. That is the standard rule. Now this just gives us z equal to x cubed by 3 is now a constant because integration is with respect to y. Integration of y is y square by 2 plus, we do not know the form of f of y, so just keep it as it is, plus g of x. Now this is the expected solution or the general solution of z. Now we can just assume that f of y dy when integrated obviously gives us some other function of y. There is no x dependence for obvious reasons, because anyway this function itself is a function of y, so its integration is also going to be a function of y. So z is now simplified as y x cubed y squared by 6 plus f of y plus g of x. This is the form of z. This is the general form. Now we have to introduce the boundary conditions. The first condition says us that condition 1, z of x0 is x squared. So wherever we see y, we have to replace 0, and wherever we see z, we have to replace it by x squared. So this becomes, let us call this as equation A. Z is x squared when y is 0. So this term simply becomes 0 because we have to substitute 0 instead of y, plus f of 0 plus g of x. So we have an expression which says f of 0 plus g of x is x squared, or g of x is just x squared minus f of 0. So this is an important equation which we have derived from the given condition number 1. Now we have to substitute this value in equation A. So this gives us z equal to x cubed y squared by 6 plus, now this f of g of x has to be replaced, but let us write down the second term, f of y plus g of x. Now g of x is this thing, so let us write it as x square minus f of 0. Now we have got rid of the factor g of x. Now let us use the second condition, condition 2, which says z of 1y is equal to cos y. So z value is cos y when x value is 1. So let us substitute here z equal to cos y, x equal to 1. So this gives us y square by 6 plus f of y plus x squared is 1, 1 squared is 1 minus f of 0. So this gives us an expression for f of y minus f of 0. F of y minus f of 0 is simply equal to cos y, this term shifted to the other side becomes negative, this term shifted to the other side becomes negative, so minus 1. So this is another relation which we have derived using condition 2. Now let us substitute for this value here. F of y minus f of 0 is to be replaced by this term. So this gives us z equal to x cube y square by 6 plus x squared. So these two terms are retained, and instead of this expression we have to substitute this. So we write it as plus cos y minus y square by 6 minus 1. So yes, now this is the particular solution subjected to the given two conditions. This is how we solve a partial differential equation by the method of direct integration, wherein we integrate twice, once with respect to x and then with respect to y. Now let us try to understand the other method, which is called as method of separation of variables. Now this method is important because we may not always get an opportunity to directly integrate twice. Let us try an example which is famous as 2D Laplace equation, which is given as dou 2 phi by dou x squared plus dou 2 phi by dou y squared equal to 0. Now this is a very famous equation in physics, mostly used in the case of electrostatics. Of course, phi is a function of x and y both. So x and y are independent variables and phi is the dependent variable. Now in this case, we won't be able to integrate directly. So somehow we have to separate the variables x and y from each other, and hence the name separation of variables. This can be done in the following way. Since we know that phi is a function of x and y, we assume that this phi can be constructed out of multiplication of two functions, capital X and capital Y, where capital X is a function of x and capital Y is a function of y. So we are assuming here that phi, which is a function of x and y, can be written as a product of capital X, which is a function of x, and capital Y, which is a function of y. Now we can differentiate this as dou 2 phi by dou x squared. Now since derivative with respect to x, this y term, which is a function of y, works as a constant. So y comes outside the derivative and we are left with dou 2 x by dou x squared. Now we must remember that this capital X is a function of x. So we no longer need to write down this partial derivative symbol, because this derivative is with respect to x and capital X is a function of x alone. So we can replace this dou sign by the standard d sign. So we write it as d2x by dx squared. Similarly, we can also write dou 2 phi by dou y squared as x d2y by dy squared. Now let us substitute these two equations in the original equation. Instead of this, we write as the y d2x by dx squared plus x d2y by dy squared is equal to 0. Correct? This is what we get after the substitution. Now we divide throughout by x into y, that is phi, since phi is x into y. If we divide throughout by xy, divide throughout by xy, this y gets cancelled, this x gets cancelled, here we have 0. So we are left with 1 upon x d2x by dx square plus 1 upon y d2y by dy squared is equal to 0. If we rearrange these two terms, we can write it as 1 upon x d2x by dx squared is equal to minus 1 upon y d2y by dy squared. Now we see that we have achieved the separation of variables. On the left hand side, we have purely a function of x, a term which or the quantity which is a function of x. On the right hand side, we purely have some other quantity which is a function of y alone. This is how we have achieved separation of variables, and this works very well in most of the cases of partial differential equations. Now we should note that if we differentiate this equation with respect to y, say 1 by x d2x by dx squared on both the sides, of course, note we are taking the derivative with respect to y on both the sides. Since this is purely a function of x, everything is a constant if we differentiate with respect to y. So derivative of a constant quantity is 0. So effectively this term becomes equal to 0. And hence, since the derivative of this term is coming out to be 0, we can claim that this term is a constant. Similarly, we can try out by taking or replacing this y by a derivative with respect to x, and again argue similarly. Now since this is a function of y alone, its derivative has to be 0 since it is a constant if the derivative is with respect to x, and since this 0 is equal to this quantity, derivative of this quantity has to be equal to a constant. So anyway, we are claiming that both of these quantities have to be equal to some constant. That constant, since we have now separated the variables, that particular constant is called as separation constant. So let us equate these two quantities independently to that constant. So we hence write as 1 by x d2x by dx squared is equal to, say, minus lambda. There is no need to take this as negative. We are just taking it for no specific reason. So 1 by x is, say, 1 by x d2x by dx squared is equal to minus lambda. This minus lambda is that separation constant which we are talking about, and minus 1 by y, which is the other term on the right hand side, d2y by dy squared is equal to minus lambda. Now these two equations can be rewritten. If we transfer this x, it becomes lambda into x, then transfer this lambda x towards the left hand side, it becomes plus. We are left with 0 on the right hand side. Similarly, we can do with this. My negative signs get cancelled. Transfer y, it becomes lambda into y, and then we shift this towards the left hand side, it becomes minus lambda y. So we are having two equations. First of them is d2x by dx squared plus lambda x is equal to 0, and the second equation is d2y by dy square minus lambda y is equal to 0. So we have separated the variables, but then there is a problem that we have to solve now two differential equations. Originally there was only one differential equation which was partial. Now we have two differential equations for each of the variables, each of the independent variables, but both of the differential equations are now ordinary and not partial. Now we have already studied how do we solve this type of equations, that d squared plus lambda into x is 0. Then we write this auxiliary equation. Similarly, in this case we will have to write it as d square minus lambda equal to 0. Now this auxiliary equation has got two roots, namely in this case the root will be lambda times root lambda times I. Obviously if we shift lambda it becomes negative, and then we take root of negative quantity gives us an I, and the other root is minus root lambda I. In this case the two roots are simply root lambda and minus root lambda. So we already know that what should be the solutions in such case. In this case the solution is like this: x equal to some constant a e raised to root lambda I x plus b e raised to minus root lambda I x. In this case the solution is y equal to some other constant c e raised to root lambda x plus d e raised to minus root lambda x. These methods or techniques have already been discussed. Now if somebody wishes to write this expression in trigonometric notation, this can also be done. This root lambda I is written as 0 plus root lambda I. If we remember, this is our alpha and this is our beta. So in that case the solution looks like this: x equal to some a cos of root lambda x plus b sine of root lambda x. We can write it equally well in this exponential form or this trigonometric form. Both of them are equally correct. Now we have to have with us the final form for phi. Since phi of xy was capital X into capital Y, we have to include either these two equations or these two equations together, and we have to multiply them to write an expression for phi. Let us choose this trigonometric form because it is much more familiar. So instead of x we write it as a cos of root lambda x plus b sine of root lambda x into c e raised to root lambda y plus d e raised to minus root lambda y. Yes, so this is the final solution or the general solution for the function phi of xy, and this is how we solve it by applying the method of separation of variables. Now, as was discussed in the previous case, these four constants a, b, c and d are yet unknown. If we are given with the boundary conditions or the initial conditions, if time derivative is involved, then we can get to know the values of these unknown constants as well, and then we can derive the particular solution subjected to these particular boundary or initial conditions. Thank you.